Hello, world, and welcome back to Creating Life with Kelsey. It has been a minute. It's been a minute since I've done a solo episode because I was on the track of bringing my friends on as guests and other practitioners in this space and introducing you to them and us just continuing to show up and speak about our crafts because we've been on the path for a while. Now we've been entering deeper into a phase of life of being of service to then give the wisdom that we have been embodied for other people seeking guidance. And what a freaking give, receive circle of life moment that has been. And it's also just been a little bit of a minute since I've been on the podcast in general. And that is because I've been running my program, Ascend the Underworld Within, combining all of my I'm going to say passion projects, but it's my passions in general, and bringing all these modalities together and what helped me heal and liberate myself from my own darkness and gain a relationship with my darkness to no longer be imprisoned by it. Journaling, somatic dance, expressive art, and dream work, all of that coming together into this program that I created, Ascend the Underworld Within, to help guide others do the same through the path that I took myself through. So I've been running that this year, which is that has taken this has been the hardest thing that I've ever done. And you would think that the hardest part would be guiding myself through it, but then when it takes it to the next level of guiding another and that level of responsibility while still holding yourself to the fire and being in integrity of who you are and what you came here to do and your work, then yeah, to guide another, that's a whole other level of hard that I had no fucking idea what to expect when I listen, I'm also still in the mental health realm, being an art therapist, seeing contracting out of a private practice part-time, seeing clients in that way, and I've been seeing art therapy clients since 2018. So I'm seasoned in the way of holding space, but holding space in this way, in the full on, like, not mental health realm, it's the psycho spiritual liberation lane. Whole other ball game. Whole other ball game. So that's what's taken the time and the energy and me increasing my capacity to be able to do something like that and hold all the other things and responsibilities. So then the podcast was not a priority during that time. I did finish my guest episodes because I made a commitment to the people that I wanted to bring on. So I finished that, but then the solo episodes, yeah, did not happen as frequently. But I'm in the last month of my program, which is surreal to say the least. And now it's becoming the time to show up on the interwebs to talk about it again, which is not necessarily the purpose of me coming on today. I'll get into that in a little bit, but it's all interconnected anyway because I feel I feel what do I feel? I feel uncomfortable right now. I'm moving around and doing weird things with my body and my face, and I like feel a little bit of masking coming on because oh, we're back on the podcast and let's put on a smile and we got to talk and do these things and the pressure and the story to like sound smart and educated and whatever else. I lost my train of thought of what I was like. I'm feeling a lot of things. I'm feeling a lot of fear is coming up and imposter syndrome and doubt. And because it's this whole, oh shit moment of we did it once. We finally got to a point where we could guide another person through this creation. And then now this is ending, and it took me 6 years to get to this point because the idea came to me in 2019 when I was in grad school. It first was a research study that I did on myself. I took a few other people, tried to. There's a trial and error process because they never completed it, and I also wasn't in a position like it just didn't happen. And So then now this is the first time that I was able to take someone through my own creation to its completion. So from the idea of 2019 is when that came to me to now we're at the end of 2025. Yeah, surreal. But then the fear is here of, oh my God, we can we do this again? What's was it the stories? Because I know in my heart it's not a fluke, but there the stories is like, was this a fluke? Will we be able to make this happen again? Like we had one person this time. Next year we would like to have three people. Is that even possible? Is it going to be online? Do we have quote unquote enough followers? Do people know us enough? We haven't been showing up online in the way that maybe we need to. There's still plenty of time, but what if there's not enough time? And I mean, as then you can just spiral into the whole thing. But it's like spiritual entrepreneurs out there when you're newer in the space of establishing yourself and your business and to have it be self-sustaining in that way. And I'm sure people who are well established in this space and they still have these thoughts, but yeah, damn, it's different when you're at the beginning and you're just so much. I feel like I'm winging it, but I know that I'm not in the medicine that I deliver. I feel like I wing it when I like market. I don't even, you know what I mean? That part I haven't had formal training on. But anyway, that is why I have not been here. But now this program is coming to an end and there's going to be a bit of time before I run it again because it starts around the spring equinox of every year. So now's the time to show up and be talking about it again. And that's where I'm like, there's this internal tug of war a little bit because it's the stepping into my bigness and my light and being seen and the consistency of showing up in this way to talk about it because it's also I've heard people talk about it before but I didn't really I didn't really understand until now I'm in this position to understand is the hard part is then talking about your craft and letting the world see it and perceive it and believe it or not believe it in whatever way they choose. The easy and the fun part is the workshopping and the planning, and you're just exploring and creating it all together. But then to keep putting it out into the world, no matter the circumstances and the outcome, yeah, that's that'll that'll test you. And I just come back to the how you do one thing is how you do everything. And for me, that parallel runs so big in my soul mission work and how I am to be of service parallels with this great big love in this relationship that I also know is for me because I've been single for about 5 years now, which is something. I've dated, but I haven't been in a serious relationship. So let me use that verbiage. I haven't been in a serious relationship for 5 years. The last year and a half, I've been full on single. I maybe went on 2 dates. They didn't go past the first date because I've been way more serious and intentional and like I'm really no longer available to fuck around. And what inspired me to come on today to release an episode is that parallel. And my mentor, Sadi Simone, his boyfriend Nathan made a post today because it is their year anniversary for their relationship. And it got me right in the heart in such a beautiful way. He's talking about how this relationship, I'm like reading the post right now, talking about how this relationship changed his life in ways that he couldn't have even imagined. And he said, if you told me this a year ago, I would have laughed and said that that is impossible. And specifically referring to the house that they have now is now a retreat space, and they just opened it and going to be hosting retreats there. He continues to say, and yet here I am, and his name's Nathan. I don't know if I mentioned that. But he said, here I am, humbled by the greatest love of my life, standing beside the man I want to spend forever with, welcoming our first retreat guest into this sacred land. There was no formula or strategy that made this happen. It came from letting go, sacrificing the versions of myself built on seeking approval, from releasing the attachments that kept me small and fragmented, and finally, without any reservation or doubt, saying yes to my spiritual path, not as a part of my life, but the center of it. That part, that is where that resonates so big in that parallel of when you say yes to your spiritual path, and not just this hobby and not this thing that you put one foot in and one foot out. And for me, saying yes to the spiritual path, because I already hit that this path and this liberation path is there's no other option but to be devoted to it. I made that decision in 2020, which is when I took myself through my own program for the very first time. Because in 2018 is when I had my first spiritual awakening, and we were, tiptoeing, one foot in, one foot out, not fully committing, all the things, still very much in a fragmented life and in my own darkness and being consumed by it. And then in 2020, like, this is no other option, and I'm devoting myself to this. I would say this past year, 2025, I've been hitting a threshold, another layer of the no other option, but when it comes to being a teacher in this way. Because it's just fucking different. Like it's it's so wild, but I can see it now. Like it's easier to say yes to yourself and only worry about yourself and focus on yourself and your path. And that is needed, because if you don't have that chapter in that phase of life, then you have no business serving others, because then it's going to be from warped views and from over giving and from being a martyr, from being a people pleaser, from mother like toxic mothering. And just emptying yourself and idiot compassion. Like there's so what array of things if you try to skip a step of being of service before we're if we never also devote ourselves to the path. But guiding my student through this journey of ascend the underworld within is this threshold of this spiritual path and this liberation path, then fully being the center. Like I like how he said he used that word of it being the center of the life. That everything that I'm doing and how I'm showing up, even like the tiny little daily habits, is to be in service of others. So I can be who I need to be to guide other people through this liberation path. That's a whole other I keep saying it, but it is. That's a whole other caliber of existing when you decenter yourself and you center the liberation path. Because like there's that first path, right, where you're centering yourself, because you need to figure out who you are, what the fuck is going on inside, the different parts of self, the shadows, the likes, the dislikes, the boundaries with love and kindness, not out of punishment, reorienting your surroundings, your environment, all of that, to then that puts you in the best position, if this is part of your calling, to then center the spiritual path and center being of service, and then how you show up in that way. That is what's completely rearranged my whole life around this last year, is centering that in the way that I'm meant to be as a facilitator for others, for other people's liberation. But I will say, I am still human and I have been struggling with that centering, which I can see is also the continued part of, for me, of the decolonizing process in who I am and the work that I do. But because of that humanness and that uncertainty that we all struggle with, and that selfishness that still likes to creep in, I was at a threshold a few months ago of this being the whole, this is no, there no, wow, we got this, we can speak. There is no other option. There's no other option when I choose myself and devote myself to this liberation path. Then the next threshold of there is no other option when I choose to be of service for the liberation path for the benefit of all beings. And what's wild is because I've taken vows, but I think that I'm understanding now that the vow is just the beginning, and then it restructures your life to when you choose to show up. Because saying a vow is kind of like speaking it out into the unseen, and then it takes time to integrate into the body and the being in the human also consistently choosing that and recentering your life for it to be around that. And that's what I feel now as this program is ending is this going to still be my center? Am I still going to show up in the way that I need to and to be of service to center this life, to center this spiritual path? Because that level of alignment and being in tune with the soul in that way, everything else falls in place. Everything else meets that level of devotion. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So with Nathan saying that this didn't just happen, that there was no formula or strategy, that it came from letting go and sacrificing the versions of himself that kept seeking approval. All those layers, all those human layers in the stories that we attach to and the illusions, and then saying yes to the spiritual path, like this love, this the biggest love of his life didn't come into play until that happened, until this became the center. And I know that that is true for me. So when I am again met up with this edge of, ooh, here we are to show up again and to choose it or to not, or to um, at some points I can feel like I'm treating my work and what I put out into the world as a hobby. And then I wonder, oh man, and then I wonder why there had been a pattern in the past years of me continuing to meet emotionally unavailable people and people not choosing me or choosing the relationship or choosing that like devoted relational path. Wow, I fucking wonder why that wasn't happening. Like that it just you can't hide from your own bullshit when it shows up in that way. And just the law of interdependence and how everything is interconnected. Again, how you do one thing is how you do everything. Like you can't be surprised when everything starts to mirror your all the shit that's going on and how you're showing up in the world and how you're giving, how you're receiving, how you're not doing that, how you're still being selfish. Are you ignoring yourself? Are you not? The karmic loop is alive and well, my friends. So reading that post definitely it touched my heart and reminded me to keep showing up and to keep choosing this. Because when I keep choosing the life that I deeply desire and I choose to surrender along the way and listening to the guidance, because we're letting go of the human, like the ego desires, right? And we're reorienting to the soul's desires. Now when I do that, the beautiful life that's already here, I begin to then have the eyes to see it, to appreciate it, to allow it in, to accept it in, instead of being hardened by everything else. I get to be available to receive it because I also keep choosing it in so many other ways. So then life is going to start choosing me back. And it already has in so many ways because I got to run my program, Ascend the Underworld Within. Someone chose this. Someone had the courage to choose this and trust me and have me guide them for the first full iteration of it. And then when I keep choosing it again to talk about it, all of that, allowing myself to be seen, then I'm allowing that to be radiated out in interpersonal relationships also. So I'm whew, nervous and excited because I mean, life is always changing, but when you do that and you make these consistent choices and centering yourself around the liberation path, allowing that to be the center, man, the direction gets to be so clear and the change you get to be so aware of and an amazement of. And at times, man, because I kind of feel like I'm in a whirlwind right now. It feels like it's speeding up so quickly. But at times I wonder if it's, is that our perception of things being and speeding up so quickly, or are we actually becoming more aware and able to see the change that's always taking place? So, where are you at? Where are you at in your journey? Are you in the discovering the self, more of the self development realm, more of the healing journey realm, or more of the liberated path realm? And then, even beyond that, facilitating other people in their journeys, because it's all so necessary. And how can you show up to keep choosing it more fully and be present for where you're at and honoring where you're at? Because each space is sacred. Because it doesn't serve anybody to pretend to be somewhere that you're not and trying to force yourself somewhere that you're not welcomed into yet, if you haven't been initiated into the next phase and you're trying to skip steps, because then that's just gonna like knock your ass down harder than you don't even fucking realize. And knowing that how you do one thing is how you do everything. So where can you check yourself right now and make adjustments where is needed, or where a full-on maybe course correction is being asked? Because we always have the chance and opportunity to course correct. We always have a choice. But yes, that all of that is that is it. I believe. I ain't got nothing else to say. I'm gonna keep rambling and going on other tangents, but yeah, I am nervous and excited to keep choosing this path and walking into this new threshold and walking through this threshold into this new layer of being a facilitator and being seen in this way, and for the work that I have to offer the world. And yeah, all the things. And yeah, thank you for being here and witnessing it all. Because man, we've been periodically putting ourselves out there for a while now. So you've been seeing bits of the journey and the evolution, which is really cool. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here. And remember, when we see the light in ourselves, we create light in others.